So this is the tale of Tickle the Tortoise. As you may know, tortoise and turtles are similar, but have some important differences. Turtles are brilliant in the sea, but they are not so great on the land. Tortoise, however, are not very good in the sea, but they're not very good on land either. Tickle the tortoise had particularly stumpy legs, which made him even slower than a normal tortoise, which are quite slow anyway. But he didn't mind. He was rarely in a hurry. Like all tortoises, he carried his home around with him on his back. This Tickle had always thought was a great idea. Whenever he needed a quick snooze, which was fairly often, he just drew in his legs and his head and snuggled in. Very practical. Tortoises generally live a long time, but Tickle was especially old. Even he didn't know how old he was. For the last few years, or was it decades, Tickle had found a nice little clearing next to a nice little stream in a nice little wood. "Gosh, you look like you're in a hurry," Tickle said to Sammy the snail as he went past one day. "Look," said Anthony the deer as he trotted along. But by the time Tickle had raised his head to see who it was, Anthony had long gone. "Where are you off to, then?" Sammy said on his way back from having his lunch at the allotments. "I'm off to the human village on the hill," said Tickle. "You get some wonderful views from up there." Tickle's eyesight was still very good for his age. When he finally reached the village a few days later, some children were out playing and noticed Tickle. "Hey, look at this! Wow, what a lovely shiny shell it's got!" Tickle gasped as the boy picked him up to get a better look. Tickle would have hid inside his shell, but it was all happening too fast. "But look, he's got silly short little legs." The other children started laughing, and Tickle started getting annoyed. "And oh, look at his crooked little mouth." The other children were pointing and jeering, and with that, Tickle opened that crooked little mouth and closed it on the boy's finger. "Ow! It bit me!" And he dropped Tickle. "That'll teach you for taking the mickey," said Tickle. At this, all the children gasped. It's a talking turtle," said one of them with great surprise, and they all ran off. "I'm a tortoise," said Tickle, but they, of course, were far too far away by then to hear him. Tickle looked around. Yes, this is why he'd come up to the village. He looked out at the magnificent view stretching down the hill the village was perched on, and a few miles away there was a sweeping white sandy beach, and then beyond that the beautiful shimmering ocean, and in the distance the island. The island Tickle thought about, dreamt about, and would so dearly love to go and visit. With his brilliant beady eyes, he could make out the trees on the island, all different sorts, swaying in the island breeze. He even thought he could see the sorts of fruit in the trees, but he must be imagining it. He stopped when he realized he was drooling. He turned around and started to make his weary way back to the little clearing by the little stream in the little wood. Who was he kidding? It would take him 100 years just to get down to the beach. And then what would he do? There was no way he could swim across. He almost wished he was a turtle with their flipper-like legs. He couldn't get to the island, and that was that. He was just going to have to accept it. Later, on a bright, breezy day, Tickle was going about his usual business. He had wandered down to the little stream for a drink, but in the stream, perched on some rocks, were two dazzling white geese. So white they seemed to be glowing. Both were looking at him. "Hello, I've not seen you before. Are you from round here?" Tickle asked them. "We're from the island. We saw you the other day, and the way you looked at it, and thought you might like to visit. We could take you there if you like." Tickle jumped for joy. Well, sort of a jump. "Oh, yes, please. That would be wonderful." Then he stopped. How can I get there?" He looked down at his stumpy legs and then up at them. They seemed to understand very well. "We've got a plan. Me and my friend here will hold this stick in our beaks, and you can go between us and grab onto it with your mouth as well. Then together we can all fly to the island." Tickle thought this was ingenious. "But," said the goose, leaning forward, "we must be very careful to grip hard with our mouths." Without further ado, they arranged themselves. The two geese gripped the sturdy stick in their beaks, and Tickle, feeling full of excitement, bit down on the stick. With a great flapping from the magnificent geese, they took off. Up they soared, away from the little clearing, gliding over the little stream and beyond the little wood. Of course, this was Tickle's first experience of flying, and he nearly squealed with delight, but he had to keep his mouth locked firmly on the stick. They were flying towards the village, and then it would be off to the beach, the sea, and to the island. Tickle looked from one of the geese to the other. One winked happily at him. The wind raced around Tickle as they swept in low towards the village. He could make out some voices. "Hey, Bonnie, would you take a look at that?" The man frantically summoned his wife. She dropped her laundry as her mouth dropped as well. "Never in all my years," she whispered. Tickle waved a stumpy foreleg at them, but he wasn't sure they understood his greeting. Then Tickle recognized the children he had seen a few days before. "Hey guys, look at that! It's that silly turtle from before," one said, and they looked up and gasped. "What on earth?" another child started. "Hey, you freak! Turtles don't fly," one jeered. Tickle wanted to tell them that he wasn't a turtle. "What are you doing up there, you weirdo?" cried the first. Tickle started to feel his temper rising inside him. They pointed and laughed as Tickle got more and more tense and angry. "Just look at those stumpy little legs flying around." "Right now, you listen to me," Tickle shouted, but of course, as he did so, his mouth opened and he fell straight down. The geese saw what had happened, but they could do nothing to help poor Tickle. One of the boys grabbed him as he plummeted to the ground and caught him. "Hey, look what I've got!" And he threw Tickle to one of his friends. "Whoa, I don't want it. It might fly off with me." And he threw Tickle to another child. Tickle got tossed around and around until he got dizzy. Finally, the children got bored and just threw him aside. Thoroughly miserable, Tickle hauled himself out of the ditch and started to wander home, back to the little clearing, by the little stream, in the little wood. He had missed his chance, his golden opportunity to get to the island. It was a good while later, and Tickle had tried to forget the whole experience, when there was a great flapping, and Tickle looked up to see the two wonderful geese swoop down into the little clearing. "You came back!" cried Tickle. He spotted the stick they had carried with him. "Oh, but I couldn't. What if we see the children again?" "Don't worry. It's easy. All you have to do is not get angry with them," said one of the geese in a kind, gentle voice. Tickle wasn't sure it was that easy, but he listened on. "You see, it's not their fault." "It's not their fault?" Tickle questioned. "No. When they are taking the Mickey out of you, it's their nasty states of mind that force them to do these horrible things. It's those nasty minds, not them. So you see, it's not their fault. And instead of feeling angry with them, we can realize that actually we need to help them." "It's not their fault," Tickle repeated, starting to understand. "Come on, we would love to take you to the island. I'm sure this time you will do just fine," the other goose said with a warm and encouraging smile. All three eagerly got ready. "It's not their fault," Tickle said with great determination, and bit down on the stick. He was swept up into the air by the great white geese, and off they went. As they flew towards the village, Tickle saw clearly that the children were out playing, but he was prepared this time. Oh, look, not again. How ridiculous. One child pointed, followed by the others. They pulled silly faces and said silly things. In his heart, Tickle realized it was true what the geese had explained. The children themselves weren't to blame at all. It was their nasty minds making them do nasty things. And actually, they just needed help. He didn't feel angry with them at all. And instead, he made a promise to himself that he would help them. Tickle relaxed and just enjoyed the rest of the journey. At long last, he was going to the island. They flew on over the long white sandy beach and across the ocean. Dolphins danced and splashed out of the waves, and Tickle giggled with delight, but he held fast to the stick. He thought he saw an actual turtle swim up to the surface, but he might have imagined it. And then at last they arrived at the island. The geese swooped down and landed gently. It was a wonderful place. There were all sorts of exotic fruits and lots of friendly animals. The geese showed Tickle all their favorite places, and they spent a very happy few days having a great fun together. This has been a wonderful holiday. Thank you so much for giving me a second chance and coming to get me again. But I must get back to my little clearing now. Besides, I have some people to help along the way. Of course, we can take you back, and any time you need a holiday, we can fly you here whenever you like. Tickle thanked them for everything. They all got ready and flew back. As they flew over the village, and the children who were out again laughing and pointing, Tickle dropped something down for them. One of them caught it and, full of surprise, said, "Wow, have you ever seen a fruit like this?" The geese took Tickle back to the little clearing by the little stream in the little wood. It became a regular holiday for Tickle, and on his way back each time he would drop a new and incredible fruit down for the children to enjoy. One time, as he was flying off to the island with the geese, he heard them shout up to him, "Hey, Tortoise! Thank you all! Thank you for all the amazing fruit you bring us." They waved and smiled to him. There was no anger in anyone. It had all disappeared. Tickle was so happy that he could help them. All the nastiness was gone. After all, it had never been their fault.